Gentlemen, girls and boys, and assembled company. And tonight we have none other than the amazing, the fantastic Janina Vigurs, who is doing her stories for children. So could you please put your hands together and welcome Janina to the stage. Janina, it's all yours.
Thank you, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello to you and 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 you. Oh, Scott's here. Oh, hello, Scott, and hello, Finn. If Finn is with Scott, Finn is a very lovely and very clever dog. I'm sure I have a story about a clever dog, but it's and there's another puppy there as well. Oh my. Dogs everywhere. Oh my goodness, covered in dogs. Oh, hello. Well, I have a cat with me. He's quite a grumpy cat. I wonder if Grumpy Cat will show his face. Grumpy Cat, go over there. Thank you. Oh, Louie's here as well, and Lucas is here. Hello, and Helen is here, and Donald and Mike. Lovely to see you, Louie. Hello, my friend. Hi. Oh, Louie, we should give you a loyalty card, I think. You've been to so many story times. It's lovely to see you. Fantastic. And I know Lucas knows me from around about where we live. So hello to Lucas too. Fantastic. Well, goodness me. It's I know that we've got some friends joining us from different countries. I'm in the UK. Ali at the World Storytelling Cafe is over in Morocco. And I think we've got Scott in America and John in the UK as well. Wow. Thank you so much. I know that obviously at the moment here in the UK, it's winter time, but not necessarily in other parts of the world. In other parts of the world, I have a friend in Australia. It's very much not winter time over there. But this time of year, January, is a really slow, cold, and pretty dark month for us. The time of year when you just want to just snuggle down and cozy up, maybe with a warm mug of hot chocolate, and just spend all day in a warm, cozy, blankety place, maybe a bed or snuggled on the sofa. I know I'm going to be doing that on Sunday. But this story
You sent down, please, Eric.
Is not about me. This story is about a small creature that lives in a woodland in the UK. This creature has two enormous ears.
This is the lady telling the story.
This creature has a twitchy nose. This creature has a long wiggly tail. This creature goes like this. This creature is a small, furry mouse. And little mouse spent all day thinking about sleeping. It was his favorite thing to do. It was a thing that at any given opportunity, little mouse would go to his log and just put his head on the soft mossy pillow and have a little nap. It didn't matter what time of day it was. It could have been 11 o'clock in the morning. It could have been 4:30 in the afternoon. Any time was good for nap time. Little mouse slept on his favourite log all the way through spring, when the bluebells and the primroses were pushing their way up through the forest floor. He slept on that log all the way through summer, when the sun was high in the sky late until late at night. He slept on that log all the way through autumn, when the leaves on the trees would turn from green to yellow to red to brown and then gently, gently fall down. He slept on that log all the way to winter. And when it did get to winter, when the wind was cutting in at 90 degrees and freezing the hairs on little Mouse's face, then, and only then, did little Mouse think that actually a mossy log outside possibly was not the best place to sleep. It was far too cold. Little Mouse thought, I need to find somewhere else better to sleep. I need to find somewhere cozy, somewhere warm, and somewhere I can fall asleep easily. Because the thing that I forgot to tell you was that every night before little Mouse fell asleep, for his big sleep, not a nap sleep, a big proper sleep, every night before he fell asleep, on his log, he would put one little mouse paw behind his head. He would put the other little mouse paw behind his head. He would snuggle down and look up. And he would count every single star in the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, he never, ever, ever got to 10. So stars were an important part of little Mouse's sleep, his nighttime routine. Little Mouse decided to set off on an epic quest to go and find somewhere better and a little bit warmer to sleep. But you know and I know that mice don't just walk around on 2 legs like we do. They have 4 very small, little tiny legs with even tinier feet and even tinier toes with even tinier toenails. And all of those toenails and toes and paws and legs and feet, they don't walk, they scamper. The little mouse went scamper, 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 scamper. And if you have 2 little tiny paws on the end of your arms, you can scamper too. Let's scamper together, shall we? You ready? Scamper, 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 scamper. And he looked and he thought, and eventually he came to the middle of the forest where there was an enormous oak tree that went all the way up to the sky. And at the bottom of that tree was a triangular hole. Little Mouse peered into the hole and thought, "Ooh, this looks good. Ooh, looks cozy. Ooh, this looks like the sort of place a little mouse might want to sleep." So he crawled inside to the middle of the tree. And inside the middle of the tree, it was warm and it was cozy and it was so nice that he snuggled down. He put one little mouse paw behind his head. He put his other little mouse paw behind his head. He snuggled down and looked up. But, oh no, couldn't see any stars. All little mouse could see was the inside of the rotten old tree. Oh no, thought little mouse, how am I going to sleep now? He made this face. Louis, little mouse feels really grumpy. I know you're such a smiley boy, but have you got a grumpy face? Can you? No, Louis's not got a grumpy face. Donald, have you got a grumpy face you could share with us? Oh, that's grumpy. Oh my goodness, John, have you got a grumpy face you can share with us? Oh, that's grumpy. Little Mouse was determined though. Oh, hello. Hello, small person. Hello, lovely love. Have you got a grumpy face you can show me? Hello. Oh, ooh. That's the grumpiest face I think I've ever seen. My goodness. But Little Mouse thought, no, I'm going to carry on. So he crawled out of the hole in the tree, and with his two little paws, he went scamper, 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 until he came to a big, wide, flat pond. And there, next to the pond was a path, and hanging over the path was an enormous leaf. A little bit like these enormous leaves here. Oh, they're so big. The enormous leaf hung over the path. Little Mouse found himself looking underneath and thinking, ooh, this looks cozy. Ooh, this looks warm. This looks like the sort of place a little mouse might want to sleep. So Little Mouse crawled underneath. And when he was fully under, he took one little mouse paw and put it behind his head. He took the other little mouse paw and put it behind his head. That's right. He snuggled down and looked up. Oh no! All he could see was the underneath of the silly old leaf. I can't see any stars, Little Mouse. How on earth am I ever going to get to sleep now? He was so grumpy, his bottom lip stuck all the way out like this. Can anyone else make their bottom lip stick out like that? That's really, really good. Oh, that's grumpy and a bit sad. I know you don't do sad and grumpy, do you, Louis? Fantastic. Oh, my goodness. But he was a determined mouse. So he pulled himself together and carried on looking. He went scamper, 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 until he got to the edge of the wood. And there, at the edge of the wood was a hedge. And at the bottom of the hedge, at the edge of the wood, there was an old football. An old ball that had been kicked into the hedge long time ago by some children, probably a bit like you, Lucas, and a bit like you, Louis, and a bit like you, my small friend who's got a very grumpy but very beautiful face. And this ball had been lost and forgotten long ago, so long ago that it wasn't really round anymore, but it was a bit floppy and a bit deflated because there was a tiny hole in the side. Little Mouse looked in and thought, ooh, yeah, if you've got a tiny hole, you can peer through it too. And thought, ooh, this looks cozy. Ooh, this looks warm. Ooh, this looks like the sort of place a little mouse might want to sleep. So Little Mouse pushed his nose through the hole. And you know and I know that if a mouse can get his nose through a hole, he can get his head through a hole. And if he can get his head through a hole, he can get his shoulders through a hole. And if he can get his shoulders through a hole, he can get his bottom through a hole. And if he can get his bottom through a hole, then he can certainly get his tail through the hole too. Little Mouse squeezed inside the ball. And it was so cozy and so warm inside there that he put one little mouse paw behind his head. He put the other little mouse paw behind his head. He snuggled down and looked up. But, oh no! He still couldn't see any stars. All all he could see was just the inside of the rotten, soggy old ball. Oh, little mouse was so frustrated. He was so frustrated that, do you know what he did? He made a grumpy face. He stuck out his bottom lip. He was so frustrated that he stamped his foot. What little mouse didn't realise was that the hedge at the edge of the wood was actually on top of a hill. And this ball, when he stamped his foot, began to roll. It rolled down the hill. And when he was inside, it spun him over and over like this. The ball began to roll down the hill, faster and faster, faster still. Faster and faster down the hill. Faster and faster, faster still. Faster and faster down the hill. Faster, faster down the hill. Faster, faster, faster down. The ball stopped when it hit the bottom of an old, wonky apple tree. Little mouse crawled out from inside the ball. He crawled out and said, "Oh!" He felt so dizzy that he thought he was going to fall over and maybe be sick. Have you ever felt so dizzy that you've fallen over? Have you? Yeah, no, Louis hasn't, but some other friends have. Yeah, being dizzy can be fun, but also a bit, Little mouse felt dizzy, and he'd been looking for so long that now he was hungry too. Hungry, dizzy, and so tired because he still hadn't had a sleep. Hungry, dizzy, tired, little mouse sat down on the grass and began to cry. It was at that point that somebody appeared from behind the apple tree. Somebody with two enormous ears. Another twitchy nose. He's got a twitchy nose. Twitchy nose. And a white fluffy tail. It was Rabbit. Rabbit appeared and said, "Can I help you at all? You seem sad." Mouse said, "Rabbit, I am sad. I'm dizzy. I'm tired. And I'm hungry too." Said Rabbit. "I can't help you with being dizzy. And I can't help you with being... Rabbit has joined us. He's with Mike. Hello, Rabbit. Hello. Lovely to see you. Rabbit, I know you're on mute at the moment. So do you mind if can I do your voice for you? Is that okay? I'm so sorry. Rabbit, I was just telling all the children that you appeared from behind the tree. And you spoke to Little Mouse. And he said, "Well, I can't help you with feeling dizzy. That will just go away. And I can't help you with being tired. You need to have a nap. When you hit the tree, you knocked this out of the top. Would you like it?" Little Mouse said, "Yes, please." And he wiped his eyes. And he wiped his nose. And he took the apple, sniffed it. Oh, it smelled sweet. And he tasted it. Oh, it tasted good. It tasted so good. But Rabbit said, "Take it, eat it all." And Little Mouse did. He took the apple in his hands, or his paws, and he went nibble, 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 nibble. If you have a nibbly nose or a nibbly mouth, then you can nibble too. Should we nibble together? You ready? Nibble, 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 nibble. Little Mouse nibbled so much that he ate all the way into the center of the apple. And children, I don't know if this has ever happened to any of the grown-ups that you know, but sometimes when grown-ups have a lot to eat, maybe on a Sunday, maybe on Christmas Day, when they have a lot to eat and their bellies are full, they start to feel quite sleepy. Little Mouse had a big, full belly. It was lovely. And he was already tired. So the only thing that he could possibly do at that moment was right inside of that apple, right there in the middle of that big juicy apple. Little Mouse put one little mouse paw behind his head. He put the other little mouse paw behind his head. He snuggled down and looked up. And you'll never believe what he saw right there in the center of the apple. Little Mouse saw the biggest star of all right there. And he counted that star. 1. And fell fast asleep. And he stayed there all the way through the rest of winter until the spring came round again, because everything moves in circles. And when the bluebells and the primroses started to push their way up through the forest floor again, Little Mouse woke up and he went back to his soft, mossy log outside. But not before he worked a little bit of story magic. And he put a star inside every apple for you to see. Everything has a beginning. Everything has a middle. Nearly everything has an end. But that is the end of that story. I want you to give yourselves a great big round of applause. Oh, wow. Fabulous. Thank you so much, everybody. That story was given to me by a friend of mine who was a teacher called Mrs. Woodard. Mrs. Woodard worked in a school a long time ago with very small people, and she loved to tell that story. And when she met me, she said, I have a story and I want to give it to you. And I said, oh, thank you so much. And now she's given it to me. I've given it to you. And if you've enjoyed it, maybe you can remember it and you can tell it to someone else. And they can remember it and enjoy it and tell it to someone else as well. And that story from Mrs. Woodard will keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And who knows where it will end up. But I know that this apple and this star is probably going to end up in my tummy in a little moment. Lovely, John. I can see it's 6:25. Do we have time for another story?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
In fact, yes, a lovely, lovely story from you would be magnificent.
Yay. Can you give me an idea of roughly how many minutes you would like me to fill?
Oh, if you've got one about 20 minutes or even 2 10-minute ones, that would work beautifully.
Fantastic. Because I'm a storyteller. And sometimes in Storyland, time does very peculiar things. It can stretch and it can squeeze, and it can do odd things that it doesn't really do in the normal day-to-day life. Time behaves quite differently. So thank you, John. That's very useful to know. So, would you like a story? I haven't yes, says my friend who's in the middle. Yes, I'd like a story. Just get on with it. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm just going to get on with it. Like my friend Yusufu says, just tell it. Just get on with it. This story happened in a place where the sun is always high in the sky. It always seems to be directly overhead, shining down and making everybody hot and happy and joyful and full of pure gratitude in their hearts. People who live in this country are happy, colourful, bright, joyful people. And the king of that land was called, well, he had a special name. He was called a sultan, And I think that sounds a little bit like sun. He was called a sultan. And sultan is another word for king or ruler, person in charge. This sultan of this happy, hot, sunny, dry land was, well, you would have thought that he would be happy too. He lived in the most beautiful, opulent castle. He had the finest of everything. He had the most beautiful clothes. He had the most magnificent crown. If you have a magnificent crown, you can put it on your magnificent head. And you can stand how the Sultan would stand. Very tall, very proud. His chin was up. He used to walk around like this. Yes, very regal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Sultan has appeared at Mike's house. This is phenomenal. Oh my goodness me. There he is with his magnificent crown. Can you see him in Mike's little square? There we go. Oh, fabulous. The Sultan had the best of everything. He had the best books, he had the best clothes, he had the best crown, he had the best everything. He had the best jester to tell him the best jokes, because that's very important if you're a king. He even had the best food. He had the best chef to prepare him the best and finest meals in the best kitchen with the best ingredients. And every day he would sit down at his enormously long banquet table, and a servant would come along and tie a napkin around his neck and hand him a silver fork and a silver spoon and place in front of him the most delicious food. At breakfast, he would have a bowl of freshly picked raspberries sprinkled with a little bit of sugar. And this particular day, the Sultan took a spoon and dug into his bowl of fresh raspberries and "Chef!" he shouted. "Chef, come here!" The chef came bustling out of the kitchen and came and stood next to the Sultan and didn't look him straight in the eye. He just put his hands down and said, "Yes, Your Majesty." "Sultan, chef," said Sultan, "these raspberries, they don't taste right." "Oh," said the chef, "I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I prepared them in the same way that the gardener picks them from the fruit cage just first thing this morning, just as the sun was coming up and before the dew had dried on them, just as you like them, Your Highness." "Yeah. Well, they taste like cardboard. Take them away. I can't eat this." So the chef took the bowl of raspberries and whisked them away into the kitchen. The chef was so perplexed. "No, I didn't do anything different. I prepared them exactly as the Sultan likes, and I know how he likes them. Oh dear." He brought the Sultan another bowl of raspberries, placed them down in front of him and said, "Your Majesty, I hope these are better." The Sultan took the bowl, took the spoon. "Revolting," he said. "Take them away." "Oh, I'm so sorry, Your Majesty." "Yes, of course, Your Majesty. Sorry, Your Majesty." So took them clean away. The chef ran out into the garden, spoke to the gardener, got some more raspberries that were slightly lower down on the canes, put them into a bowl, sprinkled them with sugar, rushed them back into the Sultan, and said, "Your Majesty, your raspberries picked just seconds ago. Here, they're the best raspberries in all the land. I hope you like them." The Sultan took the raspberries. "Ah, revolting! How can I possibly eat this? Everything tastes of cardboard. Take them away." Poor chef, out of sheer desperation, tried bringing him a bowl of yogurt with pistachio nuts and honey drizzled over. The king didn't like that either. Every single food that the poor chef brought to him for breakfast, the Sultan rejected. "It all tastes of nothing," said the Sultan. "This will never do." And he was so cross and so angry. Do you know what he did? He stood up and he flipped his placemat away, and all the cutlery and the spoons and the cups and the glasses went flying everywhere. He stormed out in a rage. As he was storming out, he stormed out of the banqueting hall, out of the castle, and into the palace gardens. And it was there that he saw the gardener. And he'd calmed down a little bit. The gardener stopped and said, Your Majesty, I see that something troubles you. What is it?" The Sultan said, "Those raspberries, they were awful. Didn't taste of anything. They all tasted of dry cardboard. It was most revolting." "Oh," said the gardener, that's very odd. But I think I can solve your problem. Come back to my gardener's hut when the sun sets, and I will make you the most delicious meal you have ever tasted." "Oh, well, thank you. I would like that, actually. Thank you. I know you work so hard in the garden, and well, I'm quite hungry now." And so that's exactly what the Sultan did. He waited all day for that hot, high, dry sun to go down and for the moon to come up. And when the moon did come up, the Sultan put on a big cloak, pulled his hood high over his head, made sure nobody was looking, and hurried out of the castle into the garden and walked along the long winding paths to go and find the gardener's hut. Now, the gardener lived a really quite simple life. He was happy, even though he didn't really have much at all. Quite the opposite to the Sultan, really. And so when the Sultan arrived, he made sure that nobody was watching him, and he knocked on the door 3 times. If you've got something next to you that's a bit hard, maybe you can do with 3 knocks on there for me. Are you ready? Here we go. Gardener opened the door. "Ah, Your Majesty," he said, "come in, come in, come in." He said, "Sorry, it's a little bit cramped in here, and hang on a second." He said, "And let me make some space for you." And he lifted some books off a chair, because everyone in these stories have well, I don't know about you, but I've got quite a lot of books, and I've got quite a lot of chairs and books stacked on top of chairs. Yes, Donald's got books. Donald, have you got a chair that has books stacked on it? Probably somewhere.
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, books in places where books don't really need to be, but somehow they end up there. Oh, yes, I can see. Wow, Helen Holt has lots of books there as well. Fantastic. And Scott, I can see a guitar. Wow, I can see all sorts there in your background. Wow. And Mike's got trees. Fantastic. And paper is made from wood, which comes from trees, of course. And Mike, I'm sure there are tons of books there. Anyway, Gardner moved some of his seed catalogues and his cookery books and his gardening books. He moved those off a chair and dusted it down a little bit and said, "Oh, Your Majesty, please take a seat, and I will go to my kitchen and I will make you the best meal that has ever passed your lips." So with that, the gardener disappeared out into his kitchen and closed the door behind him. Sultan sat down on the small wooden, slightly rickety chair. Wasn't particularly comfortable. That's okay. While he was waiting, he started to look around the gardener's hut, and he saw that the curtains hanging at the window were quite thin, and the door didn't really close properly, and that there was a gap running all the way down one side that let the cold night air in. He could feel the breeze on his cheek, so he moved to the side so that he wasn't quite sitting in the breeze. And he waited. And he must have waited for about 10 minutes. And 10 minutes sat in somebody's house that you've never been to before on your own when you've just arrived. That's a long time to be sitting down. Eventually, he called through to the gardener. Excuse me, old man, hello, are you there? Oh, yes, the gardener, yes, I'm here. Is everything okay in there for you? Oh, yes, said Sultan. I was just wondering how things were getting on in the kitchen there. How are you doing there? How it's been about 10 minutes. How any help you need? Oh, no, said the gardener. No, everything's completely under control. Thank you ever so much for the offer. Just wait there and I'll be along in a moment. Okay, make yourself at home. So the Sultan continued to wait. He sat there and he looked, and he'd pick up a book off the shelf and start to have a little flick through. Started to look at his nails. The Sultan waited. By now, he'd been waiting about half an hour. And half an hour sat in a house that is not your own is quite a long time to wait when you're on your own. So he thought he'd call through to the kitchen again. Old man, hello, hi, hello. Yeah. Just wondering how you were getting on. It's been about half an hour now, and the old Tommy's getting a little bit rumbly, you know. Any news on that delicious meal you're cooking me? I can't wait. Oh, yes, said the gardener. Oh, it's all perfectly under control. Don't you worry, Your Majesty. Just make yourself at home. I'll be through in a little while. Don't you worry. So the Sultan continued to wait. He waited 45 minutes. He waited an hour. Now the Sultan was not used to waiting. He began to get a little bit, here's a big word, impatient. That's right, impatient. Have you heard that word before? Yes. He began to get a little bit impatient. He began to get a little bit frustrated. He decided to call the gardener again. Oh, man! The gardener appeared. Yes, Your Majesty. What is it? I've been waiting 1 whole hour. I'm getting quite hungry now. You promised me a meal. You promised me the best meal on the earth. The best meal that ever would pass my lips. I'm beginning to think that this meal isn't going to appear. Oh, so my apologies, Your Majesty. I'm so sorry. These things take time. I am working on it. Don't you worry. Make yourself at home. Take your shoes off and put your feet up, why don't you? You've been working hard. Have a rest. So the Sultan continued to wait. He waited 1 hour. He waited 2 hours. He waited 3 hours. And by the time the 3 hours had gone past, he had moved from feeling frustrated to feeling quite he decided to call the Sultan again. He decided to call the gardener again. He called, oh man, this is getting beyond ridiculous now. I have told you that I am not used to waiting. Where are you? Where is this meal? I don't believe you. Oh, Your Majesty, Your Majesty. I will be through in just one moment. It's nearly ready. With that, the gardener disappeared again into the kitchen. Well, the Sultan, who was not used to being kept waiting by anybody, let alone a lowly gardener who lived in a ramshackle hut, was beginning to get so frustrated and so angry that he could feel all of his anger bubbling up from his tummy, coming into his chest and up through his throat. And he was about to shout and explode, but just at that moment, kitchen door opened and the gardener appeared with a bowl. And the bowl was steaming. And the scent of the food was like perfume. It wafted in like a cloud and it went up the nostrils of the Sultan. And the Sultan suddenly turned from, what is that? It smells amazing. The gardener appeared and sat the bowl down in front of the Sultan and gave him a spoon and said, Your Majesty, the most magical meal that you have ever tasted. You're welcome. Well, the Sultan took the spoon and wasted absolutely no time whatsoever. He oh, that was incredible, said the Sultan. He ate so fast, I don't even think that it touched the sides. He threw the spoon away long ago because it just got in the way. He had never eaten anything so amazing and so delicious and so rich and so sweet and so delicious. It made him nearly want to cry. It was so beautiful. The Sultan said, Gardener, you truly are a miracle worker. I insist that you come to my kitchens. You will no longer be a lowly, poorly paid gardener. Oh no, you are going to be head chef. I don't care for the man that works there at the moment. You are my main man. You're going to come to my castle and you're going to cook for me every single day. Do you understand? Oh, it's me, said the gardener. That's quite something. And he began to fumble and stumble over his words. The Sultan stopped him in his tracks and said, But before you give me your answer, you must tell me, my good man, what on earth was in this bowl? The gardener took the empty bowl and placed it on the side and said, Oh, this old thing. Just some dry porridge oats, And with that, the Sultan learned that sometimes having absolutely everything that you need or you desire, that you want, straight away, maybe isn't possibly the best thing. He learned to appreciate things that he had to wait a little bit of time for. He learned the power of patience. But hopefully, you won't have to go and spend 3 hours sat in a gardener's hut to learn that. Maybe you can just learn it by listening to this lovely story. Give yourselves a most wonderful round of applause.
Whoa, Janina, that was fantastic.
Thank
I think
you.
another round of applause for the amazing Janina.
Thank you.
What have we got coming up? I know. Well, apart from the fact that we've got now, we will have from the 12th to the 20th of February in Marrakesh, the Marrakesh International Storytelling Festival, because we learnt yesterday Morocco has opened its borders. And so that is fantastic. There will, of course, be opportunities to appear there virtually as well for those that can't make it. What have we got this Sunday, 6 o'clock? We've got Rock the Casbah, which is a fundraiser for the festival, and we're having a raffle draw for that, because Norman Perrin has donated some books to be raffled off. That for the people that have contributed so far to the festival, and so Rock the Casbah this week features, among other people, Solar Story, Baden Prince, Baba C, who sent his apologies for not being able to be with us tonight, but he's usually here. But he had things pressing engagements, I think is the word. And then on Tuesday we have at 4:30 UK time, always UK time, or Greenwich Mean Time, or whatever it is. 4:30 we invite all young international tellers to tell a story, and so that will be amazing. And then next Friday we have, all the way from the banks of some loch or a Loch Lomond or some obscure piece of water north of the border, we have but I'm told it was made famous by songs which we were forced to sing at school, and but we have the amazing the wonderful Donald Nelson. Give us a wave, Donald, or raise your hat.
By yon bonny banks and by yon bonny braes.
Carry on, give us a verse.
Where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond, where me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond.
Brilliant. Maybe you do the whole song next Friday.
Yes.
But it sounded much better than I remember it from school, from the Cecil Sharp songbook. But so we've got that coming up, and then of course on that Sunday following Donald, there's a worldwide story round, and so it goes on. And till in a few weeks' time, we're coming live from Marrakesh. So, but meanwhile, Janina, you have been amazing as always. Thank you very much. A big round of applause. And Ali, thank you very much for driving the magic carpet. And Louis and everyone else that joined us, thank you for being the audience, because without the audience, it is pretty pointless telling stories. So you're all fan. Everyone here and everyone listening on Facebook.
Excuse me for a minute. I'm in Resident Oakham, into swimming. And I'll say thank you, Nina, for amazing stories. So brilliant.
Thank you, Louis.
I'll see you Donald next Friday.
Yes, looking forward to it, Louis.
Thank you,
Bye-bye,
Louis.
Don.
Good night, Louis. Enjoy your swim.
I will
Bye,
do.
Louis.
Bye.
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 Okay. Well,
Best.
goodbye to everyone else. And
Bye, night.
look, Ali, will see you in a couple of weeks. Well, I'll see you virtually before that, but I will see you in person in a couple of weeks. See you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you next week, hopefully.